Hello everybody, welcome to another episode of JWA Fixes. This episode was recommended by someone on my Discord server, Quetzalcoatlus, and he recommended I look at some of the more recent hybrid designs and just rework them. And that makes it pretty self-explanatory itself. I will state that even though I'm not a bad artist, I'm also not a great artist. I know that's kind of like that's weird since if you look at my my animated rigs like Anne, Hilda, and most recently Nalska, those guys look really good, but that's mostly because I had something to trace off of, and because I like these characters a whole lot, so of course I'm going to put a lot more care and attention into making them. This time around I was kind of experimenting and rushing because Ludia didn't put much love into these 3 hybrids that I've selected for this video, so why should I? Although that definitely was probably a mistake, and I ended up with some I can't really say if they're good or bad. That's really up for you to decide. The 3 hybrids in this video, if I made them better or worse, I'll explain more when we get to each hybrid, so let's just begin. The first candidate was obviously Skem Metron, because this guy was pretty much the start of the line of very bland and lazy looking apexes, as this was technically just, well, we have Tyrannometrodon, which was basically just Tyrannosaurus with a very cool looking sail and crocodile skin going down its back, and Spinosaurus is just a sauropod with a very interesting thing on its head, and a lot of spikes and osteoderms going down its back as well. And for some reason, Ludia decided that Skem Metron would carry neither of those traits over. It would just be a T-Rex, and the only thing it would get from either of its hybrid ancestors is the butt on his head. That was it. And that basically made this guy an infamous bad hybrid design. So, I attempted to remake it, which, my process is usually I use the Jurassic World or Jurassic Park style guide to trace out a certain pattern or like a shape, and then work with that. This time around, I just took a random, the Brachiosaurus image that I already had, and tried to, because I didn't plan to animate this rig, I just wanted a still drawing. And it just ended up with I did end up getting a very nice shape of the Brachiosaurus down. And then it's when I get to the head do things start to make this look like a cartoon character rather than a hybrid. As I said, I'm much better with 2D animation than actual 3D sculpting or making things realistic. I don't do realistic, hence the reason all my repaints are Dinosaur King, which is obviously aiming for cartoon, not realism. But yes, as for the thought process of the hybrid design, it just makes sense. I took the Brachiosaurus rig, these tall sauropod rig, which is just why didn't they do that to begin with? Of course, they need that apex Tyrannosaur, but we already have Mortem Rex, so it's why? Mortem Rex is superior to Skem Metron in every way design-wise. And I just think the Brachiosaurus rig would just make this more unique. Otherwise, it would still just be adding the sail and a bunch of spikes to it, again, the regular T-Rex mold, when we can do so much more with the sauropod design, which is technically just when I realize, now that I'm looking at the colors I decided to go with, it's kind of an Ardentis Maxima clone, except with the head of a T-Rex and the spikes of its Skulosaurus ancestry. And yeah, I got this goofy-looking cartoon character with some very interesting color patterns. I will admit this is the fault of the fact that I am not really great at coloring my characters. Unless, again, I have a proper reference. I cannot do realistic color schemes. As if I just look at my other dinosaur designs, like Deku Mimus is literally just ripping off of Deku's color scheme. And Bacchusaratus is just, well, actually, Bacchusaratus has a pretty solid color scheme. Either way, I am not very good at realistic colors, and it's up to you. Design-wise, I will say it's obviously better than what we got, but color-wise, I'm not sure. I'd be curious to see if, what everyone thinks of this, because they've surprised me before. With, again, the last 2 videos, Thyloraptor becoming the most popular of that batch, and then Deku, everyone loving that, Actually, no. The thing that surprised me was that Pachytar, which was the most realistic quotation mark out of the hybrids in that batch, ended up losing the vote for some reason. I don't know why. I guess people like it when I get all crazy and fantastical. Anyway, let's move on to the next hybrid I chose. At least Skem had something that could tell you that it wasn't a real T-Rex. This one, on the other hand, if I had my dad look at this dinosaur and ask him if it was a hybrid or not, he would not be able to tell it was a hybrid, because there is nothing special about a Trosomolok. It is honestly, well, again, these are the worst hybrid designs. That's why I chose them for this video. But like, Paramolok, it's such a cool looking dinosaur and has been in the game forever, basically. When you compare it to something like Turomolok, which basically carries over all of the features that made Paramolok special, and then you get this. It's like, okay, why? Either way, this process was a lot easier than the Skem simply because I had already, halfway through I realized I had already made a Raptor rig already. So I basically took the lazy route and just retooled made a copy of my Thyloraptor and then swapped out the head for the new one I had created, and then just recolored it with this, in Paramolok colors, which, and then of course, I did the thing that should have been done to a Trosomolok in the first place. Just give it that fun little head ornament. Kept those extra spikes that it has, except I just rearranged them to match Paramolok a little more. I definitely could have gone a little more crazier with the spikes on the head, but I also added a bunch of them to the back, just to make this thing look a lot more like a fantastical creature. Now, when I first made this, I thought it looked kinda goofy, but now that I'm looking at it, it's kinda nice. I definitely could have done better with the patterns. Because I got lazy. It is literally just Thyloraptor's patterns just recolored to match a Trosomolok. But it still looks pretty cool, albeit a little bit like another cartoon character. As I keep saying, I am much better at making cartoon characters than I am realistic ones. But that being said, I do love how the colors all contrast each other. It probably helps because it's stealing Paramolok's color scheme, which is another thing that made Paramolok so special as a hybrid. And honestly, not much else for me to say on this guy. It's just, I watched this guy win the vote just because he's a raptor with spikes, I guarantee it. But we'll have to wait and see if the last hybrid I chose for this video gets even more attention. If you were to ask me who my least favorite hybrid in this game was, I would have said Sintomoth if Gigant Spinoceratops did not exist. Because this guy is, without a doubt, factually the worst hybrid design in the game. Because not only does it fail to carry any of the features from the Spinoceratops onto the Gigant Spinosaurus model, it removes features from the Gigant Spinosaurus that made it unique from any other stegosaur. That's right, they couldn't even add the shoulder spikes, which is just absolutely... Why would they do that? Why would they take away from the vanilla model to make the hybrid? It's by far the most confusing thing they've ever done, and it's just an atrocity of a hybrid. So, what did I do? Fixing this guy was honestly the most obvious. First of all, we just had to give it the head of the Spinoceratops, which probably isn't probable for like a stegosaur mount, because their necks are very long and ceratopsian heads are very big and bulky. And I did fix this a bit by rearranging the head on the body a little bit later, so that it looks a bit more like it's got a shorter neck. So I guess you could say this is like more of a ceratopsian skin than the... Either way, I also added the sail, making it a lot bigger and more noticeable, and adding those shoulder spikes that should have been there to begin with. It's a rather simple fix, and honestly, the best out of all of them, this one's the best looking because I really went to town with the new brushstroke. As I said before, I am not really good at painting on like a 2D surface. Like painting dinosaur toys, I can do that, but painting with like electronically, I have a lot to learn there. Obviously, I don't know anything about what each brush does or even how to naturally blend colors together. But either way, because the Spinoceratops, the Gigant Spinoceratops carries over the Spinoceratops color scheme, I just had to steal those colors. Although I did use, as you can see, I did borrow some colors from a Jurassic World Evolution skin. Which, this is basically just, it just turned out to be Spinoceratops with Gigant Spinosaurus's plates and spikes. And that honestly should have been the idea to begin with, and this is probably my favorite out of all of them, as it's the only one that doesn't feel like a cartoon character. It does, it actually is, it's still a cartoon character, but it feels like I actually, the colors don't feel as flashy, which, it's up to you to decide if this is, better or worse. The polls have surprised me numerous times, so, yeah. And just like that, we've taken 3 very boring, lazily designed hybrids and turned them into somewhat better looking hybrids. Of course, with my art style, it's very hard to tell if they are better or worse. Again, that's up for you to decide. Although, here's a little thing to plug in my Discord server. If you think you can do better than this, which, let's be honest, I'm sure most of you can, then go ahead and join the server and share one of your drawings of, or maybe you even have an idea of what these hybrids should look like that makes them even more unique and special. I'm curious to see what you'd come up with. And of course, we still have one more episode before the next Discord ideas. So here's something else I want to do. The previous 2 episodes was me designing my hybrids. And I don't know if I teased it or not, but I think I said I would eventually draw someone else's hybrid designs. And you know what? Now's the time. Let's see some of your hybrids in the... Basically, join the Discord server, and if you haven't already, and then share with me one hybrid that you want to see me animate in this goofy-looking art style, if that's something you would actually want or not. But you know what? Yeah, that one I can probably do a lot better because I'll have a lot more creative liberty, and I won't have, like, past history with the hybrid's design. I'll be, like, actually putting a lot of effort into it. Join the Discord server and show one hybrid that you want me to draw in the next video. And, yeah, that's pretty much all I had to say. Which of these 3 is your favorite, or do you hate all of them? Because I just did them even dirtier than Ludia did. That's up for you to decide. I don't know. I'm always surprised by the results. So yeah, thanks for watching. See you next time.
Hey guys, thanks for watching the video from beginning to end. If you want to see more, subscribe to the channel and join the Zainreborn community. See you in the next one. Bye-bye. Bye. Bye.